Hey Tim, how are you today?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, doing good.
So happy to be here. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. We talked, you and Billy and I. It's been since January, but it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all the stuff that's happened this year just seems like a long time ago. Well, first off, I want to make sure. How's your arm? Is it on the mend?
The arm is on the mend. Uh, it's been a week since the surgery. Uh, the sausages, there they go. Woo, slinging them. That's fine. Uh, Surgeon, total cool guy. Besides the fact that I had to get hurt, every aspect of it has been top notch, fantastic. Luck of the draw. Turns out the surgeon was a YYNOT fan. Had no idea. Seriously. He was
Right.
cranking YYNOT while he was doing my tendon surgery.
That's perfect.
Yeah, nice shirt, by the way.
What? Yeah. Is this the equivalent of wearing the band shirt to the concert?
No, it's just a cool shirt, actually. I'll tell you one thing about these shirts. You can see them from the other side of the room, man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the old famous line when Reagan got shot and they were wheeling him into surgery and he looked at the doctor and said, "God, I hope you're a Republican."
That's funny. But no, it turned out to be kind of comical almost because I got hurt. The tendon ruptured. The muscle went wherever it wanted to go, and I could still play because I did all those videos for the past 6 weeks with my bicep not attached. I could play the bass. I just couldn't turn a doorknob if I wanted to.
Right.
Without curling up in a little ball crying. So I went to see the guy. He said he's a musician. He goes, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a musician too." We got to talking. He's like, "No way, you're in YYNOT, blah." I thought he was just being like a surgeon, a nice guy.
Right.
So I went back for the second visit, and I'm in the waiting room, and he slams open the door. He goes, "Chemical Burn, my favorite song off the second album. You guys are great." I knew it was right. I knew he was the guy.
You're hired.
Yep, you're hired.
Well, it's been about a year, just over a year since Resonance came out.
Like 2 days over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We debuted it on the 19th in Salt Lake City, and it was fantastic. And, it seems like a lifetime, since we put out new music. In reality, it's only a year.
Yeah. I was talking to Billy last week, I guess, and in retrospect, I was like, "Oh, are you guys working? Are you gearing up towards a new album?" And then I was thinking back, like, it hadn't even been a year. It's this pandemic thing, like it's been so long, but like really, it's like,
yeah,
in a normal year, you guys would still be touring off the album, and it hasn't been like it's been 4 years or anything.
Well, I can tell you one thing, same thing with the first album, it wasn't quite a year when we released the second, and, I'm sure Billy had mentioned that we are working on the next album now. Billy's diligently hammering it away. Once his floodgates open, man, you just can't stop it. And he's just, the idea king, riff king, groove king,
Right.
I don't think I could have felt ass backwards into any cooler situation ever than with Billy.
Yeah, he's a great musician.
See, you said great musician. The guy is a great musician.
Right.
He is a shredder. He pulls off little things that make my hair tingle. He's incredible. His production is fantastic. And
Fantastic.
Best of all, I mean, he's okay. Well, let's do the equation. Guitar player, number one. Songwriter, number two.
Right.
Shredder, number three. Okay.
Right.
And then out of the ordinary, he writes for the song.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, he's perfect.
There's only, I was thinking about that. There's only a couple places really on Resonance. There's more than that, but that jump out at me where he really just shreds it and lets it go. And it's almost hard if you've got chops like that. It's not every guitar player can rein that in. They got to like let it fly on every song, and he knows how to hold it back.
I hear it all throughout the songs. I mean, if you listen, there's so much cool guitar shit going on.
Oh, there is.
I mean, like really, like my favorite gem is the tiny little riff at the end of the guitar solo in Run on Love.
Yeah.
Now go listen again and listen and go,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's so cool. And
There's
all
a
those
million little cool parts. Yeah.
and what's cool about those cool parts is, like when we were kids, I was a kid, we'd be hanging out in the station wagon cranking, the music, you know what I mean, for the 15,000th time, the same song, and hear that little nugget. And now that's our new little bullseye point on the song, and the guy writes really good stuff. I love Billy, and very happy to be involved in it. Love Rocky to death too. She's another awesome piece of the puzzle.
What a great find she was.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of like a universe thing, that
Sure.
three people who probably would never have stepped foot in the same room together at one time, actually hooked up and can create such really cool stuff.
Speaking about production, and I'm going back a little bit, but you were talking about Billy and production. One thing I love about the album is, like, for instance, your bass tone it's just meaty. It's just a great. I mean, it's really just got a ton of just balls to it. It's also like a nice. It's just a nice round, fat, like warm tone, but it doesn't step over anything.
Yeah, we
it's
work
got
together.
Space for every instrument in the spectrum.
Yeah, his production is fantastic. He does it all in his spare bedroom. He did those albums on an old Mac, and we work a lot. Like when it's time for Tim to start doing his thing, you know what I mean? I'll get coffee and it'll be early on like a Saturday morning. I always record on Saturdays and Sundays. That's just how I do it, And I'll start like 6 o'clock in the morning my time, but I'll start with tone samples.
Okay.
This preamp, that preamp, this bass, that bass. And I'll send them like little 15-second nuggets. We'll start dialing it in. So it's not just like cookie cutter assembly stuff.
Right.
He really produces to each song and each moment.
Yeah. Do you use a little bit, a couple of the songs, I want to say maybe there's a touch more gain on your bass than there was in the first album. But
yeah, we definitely did some different stuff on Resonance. We went a little nastier at times.
Yeah.
And because that's kind of how I would dial stuff in live.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I know the whole Getty, my sound, Getty sound, very similar stuff. To in a broad generalization it is, but I tend to be a little dirtier, a little more arrogant, than that. And, Billy's allowing us to, come forth and, show ourselves more in the new stuff, so it's nice that you picked up on that, like on Bully and stuff like that, really nasty and Wild Extreme, but still very musical,
Yeah. Talk about musical, and I'm bouncing all over the place just because I'm a player and I just geek out on you guys' stuff, like production-wise and all that. On Bully, Billy comes in with that little clean arpeggiated riff,
right?
And I love the genius attention to detail. Right before it slams into the slightly more overdriven riff, the last two notes of the clean part, he adds just a touch of echo to the last two notes right before it goes into the echo overdriven part to it's a segue.
Yeah.
And it's real subtle, but it just lets it transition to that without it just being like, throw it into reverse on the highway. It just, those last two notes, I'm like, you just do it in there right there just to transition. It's great attention to detail.
Telling you, the guy spends thousands of hours poring over the songs.
Right.
And every single one of the songs can be replicated live without backing tracks and samples. You know what I mean? We all can do it. So it's so amazing how he can get it to sound so grandiose and huge and layered, but yet all of that can be replicated with one guitar, one bass, a drummer, and me playing keyboards with my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an art form.
Yeah.
Going back to your timeline a little bit, I noticed I heard another interview you did, and I had to comment on something. You mentioned that you learned some of your bass the very beginning days of a book, Learn to Play Electric Bass from the Ventures.
It was an album.
Oh, it was an album. Okay.
Learn to Play Electric Bass by Ear with the Ventures. I bought it for 25 cents at a yard sale, and started it. You'd open it up. You can look it up. It's pretty cool. And it had like the earliest form of tab in the whole world,
Right.
And you play the record and it would tune your bass, A, B, B, stuff like that. And then I taught myself how to play La Bamba. Bum, bum 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 bum. You know, it was just so interesting, but it would play it, and then you would play it. So, maybe that's how my whole ear thing started. Because
Right.
that's pretty much how I play. I play by ear and hear.
Well, you had to learn by ear back in those days. But what that I thought was so funny was my dad couldn't really play, but he could play a little bit, and he had an old beat up nylon string, and that was my first guitar. I took his from like his college days, and the only thing I remember him showing me was the descending riff and the lead line to "Walk Don't Run" by the Ventures.
Oh, cool.
So that was one of the first things I learned. So that's what that reminded me of. But
you know what? I've been talking so much about that album over the years. I think I got to hunt one down on eBay or something.
You need to get it. Yeah, you got to put it on the wall and hang it up. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it's all the Ventures and Gene Simmons' fault.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about another early days, and I'm not aware of this history or the history of this band, but you were in a band called Hot Shot.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, coming out of Long Island, is that correct?
Yes.
But when I looked them up, they've had some pretty notable names in the ranks of the years. Al Petrelli.
Hot Shot was like the revolving door of Long Island to stardom.
Okay.
Al Petrelli, come on, Soraya, Trans-Siberian, Alice Cooper,
right.
Teddy Cook, Alice Cooper, Yngwie, Dio, Bruno Ravel, Danger,
Yeah, that's what I was looking. I was like, I know all these names.
Yeah, we were all, the same group of guys from Long Island, and as one would fly off to stardom, one of us, would jump into the chamber and fill in. You know what I mean? And then another one would go, and so basically, Hot Shot was like where you would go on Long Island to get to the next level. It was like the coolest thing, And unfortunately, when I got in, we actually got approached by Nikki Sixx.
Okay.
And he sent us out to L.A. to do a bunch of showcases with him and Tommy and stuff like that. And we thought, this is it. We finally really made it, And then, grunge happened, and, it was just over with. And that was around 95, I think. And that was when I hung it up.
Yeah.
Just didn't play again until, like, 2012.
I was going to ask you about that. When you picked it up, how bad was the curve trying to get back up to speed?
The speed was there. It's like it never stopped. You know what I mean? I could pick up the bass and play the Trooper and play, Rush and all that, but I could only do it for like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Before I'd have the hook, the claw. No, literally, it was crazy, I mean, I still had all the chops, but it was just like I could only do it for a very short amount of time before everything locked up.
Yeah, makes sense.
But, like I do everything, I jump into it, I never do it half-assed. I do it whole-assed, all the way in, and I just kept working and having fun, because stopping, cutting music out of my life for 16 years, when I started to play again, I had no clue how much I missed it until that moment, and the joy it brought me. And now I'm just a mechanic fixing European cars who would come home and play his bass in front of a camcorder for fun. That's all I was. There was no pressure. There was no gotta be a rock star thing. No nothing. You know what I mean? So it was nothing but fun. It was like when I was a kid again.
Yeah. But look what that's led to. I mean, just getting back into for the pure joy of it's what maybe got you back on the right track, And
not for nothing, it's still nothing but the pure joy of it, I'm the happiest I am when I'm on that stage. I'm the happiest I am when I'm playing with Billy and Rocky. It's just it's a happy thing.
I think that's just a little bit of wisdom that comes with age, though. Just being able to appreciate things in the now is maybe something that what do they always say? Youth is wasted on the young. It's
yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, they also say the older you get, the faster you work.
That's right.
No. I think I'm really in a place now where I really appreciate this. And although it turned into a real band business / thing, I think the fact that that childlike joy and happiness of it, really is still center stage. Though I'm not making bad business decisions, but it's just my main goal is not to be a rock star. My main goal is to play this music and have fun.
Right.
And if the rest of it comes along with it and other people like it, it's best. My other main goal is to hang out, shake hands, take pictures with everybody after a show.
Right.
That is my third favorite part of YYNOT shows. I just recently moved from Florida back to New Jersey. Well, not back to New Jersey, to New Jersey. I took a full-time position with Tech 21 NYC, Sans Amps. I'm production manager, and promptly got winged. But I'm here working with them. Best company that I ever could imagine. The only thing that exceeds the quality of the products is the quality of the people. Such a cool company.
That's an important part.
Yeah, so I'm back here in the tri-state area. I've been diligently trying to find a bad piece of pizza. It's turning out to be impossible.
Right.
Just saying. And we're just itching to get back on the road when the world comes back to normal.
Hey, I want to jump back to the album and touch on your playing it first and how you approach a certain thing. You're a co-writer on the song Blind Luck.
Right.
The violin solo on that is, not to sound too hoity-toity, but it's just ethereal. It's a great solo.
Yeah, cool.
Macy Slick, is that right?
Yeah, Macy Slick, yeah.
So, but your bass line is your bass portion underneath that solo is perfect. Now, how did you approach that? Did you literally just lay down that whole thing as a section and then they were like, with the idea of there being a violin solo over that, or did she lay down a framework for you to go under? I mean, what was the genesis of that?
I kind of remember how this went. Yeah. So Blind Luck started with Billy always asked me to send him little riffs, like little 5-second noodles, 10-second noodles. Billy's doing all the writing, but he wants our input. I just don't have the time, especially, when I was in Florida and stuff like that. And plus, I don't want to mess with what's perfect. You know what I mean? The guy's doing a great job. So I'll send him these little things, and sometimes he'll go like, oh, dude, this is cool. So we started to use the intro to Blind Luck, but then what I sent him, he wound up changing it so it would work even better. So he's still cool and still, included me in the writing process. But so that's that. Now that solo section was just like, he'll give me notes. He'll be like, okay, so, he'll message me and go, it's just a jam. It's just a jam section.
Right.
So it's just, do your thing. I'm going to probably have Macy do this and that and blah, 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 blah. So I go, all right. So I'll listen and listen and listen and listen and then just start cutting a track, And for that particular song, I remember it. I think I just, tried to, in my ear, spot the drum parts. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'll do. Drums are already done when I get them. So I'll already start formulating these little riffs for each little snare and hi-hat and tom fill. Right. As if we were in the same room, And I think I ran that as a big, long thing, probably with a bunch of little taters in it, and then just cleaned it up as I went. You know what I mean? Sure. So it was very fluid, that part. Yeah. So that was definitely like a one take with some punches in it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just playing to the groove and trying to catch the drums as much as I could.
Right. Yeah, it came out great.
But there were some really cool things in there, like Yeah,
definitely. It's really cool because it works together, but at the same time, you and the violin are both just kind of going off. It's kind of like an old Cream jam where everybody's doing their own thing, but it makes sense.
Kind of like Free Will.
Yeah.
Right. But he'll always do that. He'll always encourage me to be myself, and he'll let me know when to let loose, and then he'll let me know when to, pull it in a little bit, So it's great direction with Billy, but he always lets me do whatever I, feel.
Yeah.
That's what makes it good music.
That's what makes a good partnership.
Oh, yeah. We definitely got it.
I think you might have seen it, but I put up on a couple of our pages and asked some of your fans to ask me questions, and I just picked like 3 of them just to read out kind of at random.
That.
Yeah. So let's see. The first one was when was the Battle of Hastings? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No. No, I'm just kidding.
Marsupial.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, that's not the answer.
No.
Right.
William asked, have you ever played fanned frets, like a bass with a fan frets, and do you have an opinion about it?
Bass Central in Orlando had the first dingwall I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
I took it off the wall. I played it for about 5 seconds and promptly put it back on the wall. There was no reason to make my job any harder than it needs to be. You know,
Right.
I'm sure it's awesome for whatever it's awesome for. You know, like the extended range stuff, I guess.
Sure.
So you can make that E string longer. You know, but at this point, I'm pretty much set in my ways. 4 strings, has to have frets, and there's got to be a Sansamp somewhere. You know, that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. That's like you and I talked about back in January. I think you and I were talking about like influences like Gene Simmons and Steve Harris, and you were like, I got into Stanley Jordan in School Days for a little bit, but then it was like, okay, back to the rock.
Yeah. It's like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Exactly. Speaking of this, but now I'm going to go off on that. That's a segue of sorts. Martin asked, did Frank Zappa's music mean anything to you as a musician?
It means everything to me as a musician.
Okay.
Frank Zappa's work, I'm getting chills right now. There's certain things, I'm really getting chills because there's certain music and musicians that would make me feel stuff rather than, oh, wow, that's cool. That's an awesome riff. This is neat. Ronnie James Dio, his vocals would always make me feel something. You know, Rush, honestly, would always make me feel something. Frank Zappa would always make me feel something. I don't know exactly what it would make, what would bring out in me, but I know that it would get my charisma just rolling for some reason.
Right.
And it's very interesting, and it's so unorthodox, and I love the campy tongue-in-cheek sense of humor to his lyrics.
Combined with genius.
Okay, right. See, now a lot of people just see it on the surface as being goofy, like a Weird Al Yankovic that could jam, but it's not. You know.
Oh no. Yeah.
Right. It's it's almost like watching 2 movies at the same time or reading 2 books at the same time. There's this incredible orchestrated live instrumental along with this incredibly funny play that you're watching. You know what I mean? That have nothing to do with each other, you know. And it's just fantastic. And I'd like to give a shout out to Ryan Brown, Dweezil's killer drummer right now. You know, cool buddy, YYNOT fan, big fan of him.
So I look back, I'm like, God, I wish I'd started doing this years ago. Like the people I wish I'd interviewed over the years. I've interviewed Dweezil.
Okay.
And I've interviewed Mike Keneally, that used to be in Frank's band.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're both brilliant in their own right, and it just makes you go, God, I would have loved to talk to Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
Now he probably would have been an asshole to me, but just to pick his brain just a little bit, just to get some kind of insight. But even hearing their stories, it's just a sense to get a glimpse of somebody who was in the presence of him the way he thought, and they're geniuses in their own right too. So it's just really cool to get their perspective on things. That's the thing, is that the fun of it never ends.
Yeah.
You know, it's
what it is.
Yeah, it's never ceases to be like, oh my gosh, you're the guy who did such and such. Or, you know.
Yeah. I was like, I had the biggest. I think I burned a hole in your head staring at you. You know, jamming in Melbourne a year ago. You know.
Totally. Isn't that funny?
Cool. It was just
another fan, Pete, not me, a different Pete, asked, what's your preferred bass? And I guess he means like you walk in a room, which is the one you're usually just picking up first?
Probably the jazz bass.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably one of these specimens here.
Sure.
But as far as my most versatile bass, it's the jazz bass. But I just picked up that beauty, that P bass over there.
Yeah.
First precision bass I ever owned.
Really?
The 1976, and it's really got some mojo.
Does it?
I think it's going to be featured a lot on the next YYNOT album.
There you go. I wouldn't mind hearing some precision bass from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, the thing is honky. It's got balls. You know, it just sounds good. It's going to be fun.
No,
It's very honky. That's what I dial in. That's where I live. You know, a lot of guys like that scoop tone, and you know, the scoop tone sounds great in your bedroom, you know, but as soon as there's a cymbal and as soon as there's a guitar playing,
it eats it up.
All of a sudden, you're just living in the scoop and there's nothing there, So I boost my mids like ridiculously high, like almost near 2K.
Yeah.
That allows me to not be loud. It's a perceived loudness, live especially. I mean, I don't have my amps cranked.
It's loudness versus cutting through the mix.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's cutting through. If I was all scooped out and stuff, I'd have to crank everything up. Then there'd be too much lows and too much highs and blah blah. So we found a sweet spot that just works with YYNOT. That's great. And
yeah, it does. Like I said, none of these instruments are stepping on each other's sonic territory at all. I mean, Billy's got his spot. They all interweave together, but Rocky's voice, the drums, your bass, and the guitar are all like just, and they're not stepping over each other. Because sometimes you'll have cymbals will be eating up an acoustic, and you know how that kind of goes, and all that kind of stuff. But none of that happens on your two albums so far. So it's really well done. Yeah.
That's Mr. Alexander, man.
Right.
Yep. That's our resident mixologist.
Yeah. Anything else? Now I know I went over this too, but I want to make sure that everybody who's tuning in knows how to find you guys. YYNOTBand.com, the social media, where they can find your stuff, the Tech 21 stuff.
Yep. So I'm gonna give you a list. We got some cool stuff coming out soon.
Cool.
So let me blow over that real fast.
Yeah.
We're releasing a live EP, sort of say, but it's going to be digital. It's going to feature songs from the Resonance release show, live in Salt Lake City, all board mixes that Billy remixed, and it's going to be called YYNOT Live Bootleg. It'll be available Spotify, Amazon, Google, streaming only, but I'll send you the link. There's a pre-save link. You just click on it. You don't got to do anything. And then when, the date that it get released, I believe it's October 2nd or 20th. Forgive me if I'm not right. I know it's in October. It'll just pop up on your playlist.
Sure.
Painless, and then you can hear it. So that's one thing we're doing.
Perfect.
And then that's as Billy's writing, rest of the album, and I'm recuperating. But we're also really, really I'm going to say 90% gonna release vinyl.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be, no, we're going to release vinyl. And it's going to have some stuff from both albums plus a really cool bonus track.
Very cool.
Right. That, and then the new album will be coming out.
You're going to cover the black page all on kazoo.
Woo! No. No, it's going to be YYNOT material.
Okay.
Trust me, it'll be really cool.